Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Dynamics 365 Security and Licensing Updates, What You Need to Know. I'm Sebastian Anderson with the Licensing and Database Desk here at Avantiico. Folks, the big day is just around the corner. 2 days from now, on January 15th, Microsoft's 2026 staged approach licensing enforcement will begin to roll out. Every firm relying on D365 needs to understand this new framework, and the deadlines are unique to each company. To guide you through these important details and what they mean for your business, we have Morten Løgstrup, our Director of Customer Engagement, and Tatiana Subotin, our Licensing and Database Technical Lead. They'll be walking us through what Microsoft's updated enforcement means for D365 users, how to leverage Azure Telemetry insights to review actual user behavior and right-size license allocation, what's new in D365 user security and governance, how to audit your current license usage and roles, real-world examples of how clients avoided thousands in unexpected licensing costs, and finally, a live Q&A, as well as a special limited-time licensing assessment offer. Morten will be taking over shortly, but before we dive into today's session, I'd love to share some of the other exciting webinars and events we have coming up. And this time, it's a big one. On March 12th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific, you can join us live for Dynamics Day, the future of finance. Kicking off at Microsoft's Irvine campus in Southern California, this in-person Dynamics Day is designed for finance, operations, and IT leaders running or evaluating Dynamics 365 FNSCM. Discover what's new with Update 10.0.47 and experience the powerful combination of Avantiico's D365 native solutions and Microsoft's out-of-the-box capabilities. Through intelligent automation, AI, and Copilot, our solutions reduce manual accounting, improve visibility, and maximize your D365 investment. On top of all that, we'll explore practical use cases and proven strategies for MCP agents, Microsoft Fabric, and Power BI. If all that is making your head spin, don't worry. We'll be there on the ground to answer questions, clarify details, and help you find the right solution for your needs. Space is limited, so be sure to register soon to secure your seat. Registered attendees will also have the opportunity to win tickets to see the LA Clippers live at Intuit Dome, courtesy of Avantiico. We will have other events and webinars added to the calendar, so be sure to keep an eye on this space. We've got some exciting things coming in 2026 that you won't want to miss. On top of all that, please let us know if there are any topics you would like to see us cover in the future. All registration links for these events will be available in the chat, on our website, and within this slide deck. One last note, as we go through this presentation, do not hesitate to pop any questions you have into the chat. There will be a few interludes for questions during the show, as well as an open Q&A at the tail end of the webinar. Any questions that aren't answered live will be addressed in direct email follow-up. And with that, Morten, take it away.
Thank you, Sebastian, and welcome everybody. I see a couple of familiar names here, so welcome back. It's actually almost a webinar anniversary. I think it's the 10th webinar, but the first one in 26 around licenses. We will cover as much ground as we can. There's not that many changes to the different rules, tools, regulations. There might be a little bit on the D365 side. Tatiana will cover that at the end, but the majority will be a recap of what we already know, and then a couple of updated changes that we heard from the Microsoft team earlier last week, actually the 7th or 8th of January. But again, drop any questions you have or reach out. We still do get questions from existing customers around this. So there's no stupid questions, just bring them up and we are happy to answer them, or at least figure out the correct answer to it. So if we jump into some of the announcements, we have seen this earlier. And some of your users might already have the notification banner in D365. Microsoft, as everybody know, pushed the different deadlines 3 times or so, and January 15th, sorry, is still the milestone date. They are not changing that, but each an individual banner notification and enforcement is based on your earliest D365 renewal date, and I'll show you how you can see that if you don't know it. Important, it is commercial cloud, so if there's anyone here with educational SKUs or charity/non-profit SKUs, then that enforcement will likely come later. These are the SKUs involved in the enforcement. And down here on the unknowns, Microsoft are going to enforce licensing for device users or devices. Your storage, F&O storage, your sandboxes, capacity, and order lines. We don't see it that often, but some customers do have order lines, and the quantities, I think it's something you have to pay attention to, especially if you have a lot of distribution manufacturing, because that could really impact your licensing cost over time. So check out your order lines. You can see that in Power Platform. With that said, let's jump into some of the recommendations we have. Every month, Microsoft release a new licensing guide. You can find that on, I can actually drop the link in the chat unless you have it, Sebastian. But the first couple of days in the month, the update a new one, and in that licensing guide that is like 60, 80 pages or something, in the first couple of pages, they are showing what they are actually changing. And this is just a recap of what has been changed the last 3-4 months, because you can, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is when you start monitoring your users, the licenses, keep in mind that Microsoft have the rights to change their, not change the user's permission, but they can change the permissions from what is a team member allowed to today might not be the same next month, for example. So keep monitoring your licenses, because they can change. And especially if you went live many years ago or multiple years ago, that I remember when D365 was first launched, you could pretty much do everything with a team member license. That is definitely not the case today, because Microsoft have restricted the roles, what they can do with that license. So keep checking the licensing report. Comes out once a month, and there's normally changes highlighted in the top 2-3 pages. Microsoft, if you have seen some changes, we touched on that last time. If you have seen some changes to your Power Platform report, it's because Microsoft did roll back some changes that they had due to, yeah, that's actually a good question, but a lot of users were bumped up from activity to finance users, and Microsoft rolled that back. So that should already have been reflected in your Power Platform admin report. But if you saw it at some point, that could easily be one of the reasons. One thing to highlight here, this is only for Microsoft licenses. So if you have specific industry ISVs, then definitely check what kind of security impact they have, because we have seen, and we have mentioned that many times, they do impact your D365 licenses. May that be a AP automation solution or a food and beverage industry-specific solution. Some of those can easily impact your users' D365 licenses too. So be aware of that little twist. And I'm mentioning it because it can take time for the ISVs to change some of their security configurations that are impacting your D365 users. Another thing we have mentioned a couple of times is the team member license, which everybody, of course, want to be in, because it's very, very cheap compared to the full users. There is a little note on probably page 60 or something in the licensing guide that state that if you have more than 15 tables, then custom tables, then you will not be a team member anymore. So that could also be one of the reasons why team members are being bumped up to activity or a full license, as we talked about. Any questions so far, Sebastian?
We have no questions as of now, but everyone,
Perfect.
please feel free to chuck them in the chat if you have them.
Perfect. The timeline, we have seen that. Let me actually jump to this page. It's a little bit blurry because it's a screenshot from a couple of days ago, because Microsoft added a little notification in here. So if we start over to the left, prepare for your renewal date. There's a -90. You will get like a notification from Microsoft when it says -60 days, and that will be in Admin Center. So I have a couple of examples of that, but admins in your tenant, they will receive notification in admin.microsoft.com, which is also referred to as the Admin Center. And then T minus 30, you will then receive the notification in D365, and then validation begins 15 days after the renewal date. So keep these date in mind. And these three examples down here is really good for kind of testing your own renewal dates or renewal timeline. You can see in Admin Center under your products, you can see when the different licenses are renewing. And it doesn't matter if you're on CSP or EA agreement, this impact all users using D365 finance and supply chain, and of course the other applications. We're not talking about the CRM applications in this case. If you have multiple different renewal dates, that's totally normal. But again, the earliest renewal date, that's the one Microsoft are going for. If you have some specific scenarios, either drop them in the chat and we can make the little timeline for you, or send us an email and we are happy to do the timeline. If not, you will definitely hear from the users when they get the notification banner in the chat in the D365 platform. We touched on this last time. They will meet a screen like this where they say they don't have access. So definitely be prepared. If users are seeing it, it's because they don't have the right licenses. You can assign the licenses in Admin Center. You can also start in Power Platform Admin Center that will then guide you over to Admin Center, where you can assign the licenses if you have the right access, of course. This is the banner. Nothing has changed here. It's the same as Microsoft have communicated more or less from the beginning. There might be some slight changes, but this is what you see 30 days before your renewal date, or users will see if they don't have the right license. This is an example from what the admins will see. So if you have an admin account in your production environment, you will probably receive an email similar to this, and that is kind of the first warning that you will get as an organization. In some cases, service accounts have been set up, so check your service accounts if there's an email that is not being monitored or something like that, because it could be that these emails are going to your other folder, junk folder, or something like that. So check it out and figure out who is actually the admin of these different environments. When we talk about tools, you have Admin Center, where you assign the licenses. You can remove licenses, check it once a month or something, just to make sure, or quarterly at least, just to make sure that you are licensed correct, that you're not over licensed. User security governance, Tatiana will show you that later, but that's the workspace in D365, where you have all the tools to actually remove roles, add roles, and so on. And then you have lifecycle services. I heard that lifecycle services are being merged into Power Platform Admin Center. I don't have a firm timeline on it, but there might be some changes coming here in 26 when it comes to that. We touched pretty much on everything up here. Again, one thing that's important that Microsoft is also emphasizing, clean admin accounts, they don't need licenses. Service accounts, they don't need licenses. And they have now added a tab in your reporting space that I'll show you in a second, but that is good. In some cases, you might have admins that also have other security roles. They will require a license. So be sure that everything is vetted before you purchase additional licenses. Reports, Microsoft retired some old reports. Someone might be familiar with these. I think they belong to like AX12 or something like that. So they were not super accurate and they were not very detailed. Now there's the new meta or the new telemetry data. So you actually get some much more granular reports. And since they launched the new workspace, the user security, they have enhanced the reports and tools, and Tatiana will show you some of that later. It's still, it's still not easy to work with, especially if you have a lot of users in the system. There is definitely some complexity. But I heard the other day that they are working on adding some Copilot functionalities into the workspace, both in the Power Platform side of things, but also in the user security. There's no firm timeline on it, but wouldn't it be nice if you can ask Copilot to optimize all your licenses and then Copilot do it? It's on the roadmap. Let's put it that way. New reports. Tatiana will show you the D365 report. I'll take a quick look at the Power Platform reports in a second. Because there is a couple of new tiles, or a couple of months old now, but actually the ones I haven't highlighted here are probably some of the most important, because total users required licenses. That's of course all your users in your production, and then your unlicensed users. That's kind of your delta. If you don't do any cleanup to your system, and then you have under licensed users. I'll show you that in a second, what that means. And then you have over licensed users, meaning users that have way too many licenses, where you can actually go in and remove some license. That's really very nice. And then you have a big data set here, in this case, 54 users that don't require a license, and you can get more details on that. There's I believe it's in the licensing guide. There's a whole page of all the security roles that do not require license. We can also share that with you if you're interested. But this is kind of the new report in Power Platform Center. They are enhancing it with you can see over here the managed license, the export to CSV, and then the summarized. They were talking about that a couple of days ago, because it's here they want to add some Copilot features in, so that you can actually get some recommendations, but who knows when that comes. When we talk about one thing I learned the other day that is new, so the under licensed users, and you mentioned that yesterday. Down here, there's an example. It's a little bit blurry, but her name is Paula right here, and required license. She's required a finance and a project operations. She currently have a finance, and she's missing a project operation. What Microsoft mentioned the other day is that is not being enforced, meaning Paula can still access the applications because she have one of the license. She don't have the attach in this case. And Microsoft is working on enforcing that as well. There was no timeline on it, but what that pretty much means is if users require multiple licenses, there's no enforcement yet if you only have the base. With that said, you are still obligated to fully license the users. but luckily they can still access the system and won't be kicked out if they don't have them. So check out the under licensed user workspace. It's worth keeping an eye out for. Let's see. Yeah, that was the one we talked about earlier. Any questions, Sebastian?
So far, we are clear. However,
Awesome.
once again, please feel free to ask
Awesome.
anything you have on
It's
mind.
good. Good. The database side, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it's not relevant right now in the sense of there's no enforcement. But again, encourage you, everybody with larger instances or a lot of legal entities that have intercompany transactions and so on, go into your Power Platform Admin Center, check the capacity add-on and the different workspaces up here, because you get a lot of insight into what's happening in your environment when it comes to database storage capacity. Over here, you can see breakdown of your entitlement per license. But all this is coming, and right now it's very expensive. If you need to purchase more, who knows if that changed, but keep an eye on it because we have seen it impacting different ISVs and so on. If, for example, on the Dataverse, if you don't have the right licenses. So and this again, we talked about it previously. Let's actually show you this. Microsoft made some changes, I believe it was in December, that you occur some more database storage compared to previously. So they pretty much gave you a little bit more entitlement per license. We talked about that. Before I hand it over to Tatiana, the kind of the idea that we have been doing a lot in 25 and 26 is to help customers understand what is the current situation. That's pretty obviously because you can see that in Power Platform. But what is the ideal state and what is the current delta? And we are helping a lot of users globally with that so that they can avoid that heavy licensing bump up that some customers have. I would say probably 80%. In many cases, we can't do much because it's simply a fact of users have been added to the system, but licenses haven't been purchased. In other cases, we can work with the solution to optimize the security design to avoid, for example, X amount of full users. They can actually be activity if we do some work. There's of course some hands-on work associated with that, and also a timeline because it's not something we can do overnight. It takes a little bit of time. For public traded companies, it is good if you do have audited and you want to tighten up your segregation of duties and so on. We will definitely deliver some insights into that. We have seen some examples where there was third-party tools in place for monitoring security and providing reports to audits, but the tool was not really utilized the way the tool should be. So there was a lot of gaps in what was actually happening in D365. So many different approaches to this depending on your starting point. This we talked about it. It takes us give and take 5 to 10 days to deliver the analysis depending on your current data estate, meaning have you enabled telemetry? How many users do you have? How many ISVs do you have? And so on and so forth. But most of the time, in 5 to 10 business days, we have a pretty good understanding of what's happening and a plan for how you can clean it up. Yeah. In that delivery report, we let me actually just jump to this page. We do deliver a very detailed audit of what's happening, why is it happening, and how can you fix it. So in some cases, customers, they can definitely do it themselves. In other cases, we are tasked to do it because of multiple reasons. Yeah. Before I hand it over, the last kind of promotion, we are running here before the the enforcement date, some limited promotions for 4,500 for like a licensing analysis, and it's normally 50 pages or so, 40 to 50 pages of documentation that you can also use for auditing or for whatever you might need it for. Any questions, Sebastian?
Sure. We do have a couple in the chat here. Would you like to answer them now or at the end of the show, Chief? That's up to you.
Let's get them now.
Sounds good. All right. So the first one at the top regards if a user is missing an attached license, will they get an enforcement pop-up banner? So, how that relates to what level of license they have, will they be getting a notification, etc.?
Good question. Good question. I don't think they will, based on what I heard Microsoft saying here on the 7th. For now, it can easily change, but good question. Yeah.
Yeah. We have another one that regards, for example, system administrators who have full access to the system as normal, but also handle invoices, journals, that sort of thing. So a system admin who maybe has a few other responsibilities, what sort of license requirements would we say they should have?
You can look at it. So system admin, if they are clean system admin, they don't need a license. But if they also handle invoices, they would need a finance or activity, depending on what they need access to. You can create two users, so you have one that is clean admin and then one that are more finance oriented. So
yeah, we do generally recommend keeping those separate for the most part, if you can.
See then the next one, how often are user license users refreshed? The refresh it every 4 to 12 hours. That was the statement. I know it's a big span. So if you remove licenses today, you probably see at end of day the new numbers in Power Platform Admin Center.
Okay, and our final question, which seems to have been answered, but could well be useful for everyone to know, is what is the lowest level of user license required to actually see the Power Platform Admin Center if you just wanted to check the numbers?
You don't need a license to access Power Platform Admin Center. You need a Azure security role, and you can assign that in the Azure portal. I can send you the link, but you don't need a license to go into. I see here. Okay, I normally use Power Platform Admin. There might be a lower role. I have to double check that, Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
But Power Platform Admin, that definitely give you enough right to view the reports, to drill into the reports, and so on and so forth. You don't need D365 Admin or something like that. Power Platform, that's the one. That's the one. Yep.
All right. I think that's all of our questions for now. Shall we let Tatiana take away the show?
Please do. And
awesome.
if there is anyone that are not familiar with telemetry or the user security governance workspace, just ping us here in the chat, because then we can educate you a little bit more about the tool set and what's happening in there.
Mm-hmm. And if you would come off mute, Tatiana.
Yep.
There we go.
My turn. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. I'd like you guys to take through the questions that I've got from my friends recently. So somebody who watched our webinars and who knows a lot about finance and operations and how to manage licenses, all of a sudden started asking interesting questions, and I found that it's not that obvious. So I'm going to show you today the practical example, how I explain this to my friends, to my friend, how it works, and maybe it's going to be a little bit clearer for you. Let me show you, first of all, sorry, not this one. Let me show you, first of all, the main question that my friend asked. If it's a little bit smaller than you expect, is it visible? So the
I
first
think you are
question.
in presentation mode right now.
Yes, I am in presentation mode.
Oh,
Exactly.
where we can see two screens.
Two screens.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I will exit the presentation mode and I will show you the screen.
Hey. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
So the main question that my friend asked is how it works. What they see in the Power Platform license report is the picture similar to this. And they see, as Morten mentioned, they see the total user requiring the licenses, unlicensed, under-licensed, over-licensed, right? All of this information. And then my friend asked me how they need to how they should assess what kind of license they need to they need to purchase. What's the base license? What's the attached license? It seems that it's not like we've been talking about this for how many 10 months, right, Morten?
Yep.
And
Something like that.
it's yeah, and it seems that it's easy for us, for you and me, and for the whole team, or maybe for our attendees, our people who attend our webinars, but it's not that clear. Now, first of all, if you see the picture like this, what licenses you need to buy, you don't know. Technically, you don't know. Looking at this picture, you don't know what licenses you need to buy, right? You just see the licenses by the service, broken down by the service. It's supply chain, it's finance, it's commerce, project, human resource, legacy license, activity, team member, and human resource self-service. You see the names of the SKUs and you see the number. Which one is the base one? Which one is not a base one, right? So it depends on the combination of the required licenses for each particular user. If your user, I'm taking just one user right now. If a user requires a combination of the top licenses, these three licenses, any of them can be based license, and the other one or the other two licenses are going to be attached. Let's make it clear. So if it's a combination of first three, supply chain, finance, and commerce, any of them can be based, another one or two are attached licenses. And as Morten mentioned, Microsoft is going to track only base licenses right now. And later in 2026, they are going to introduce the new functionality that is going to track attached license. But right now, it's just the base license, any of them, right? Then what's going to happen if it's a combination of the red one and the green one? Which one is the base license? The red one should be the base license, always. It's more expensive, and the more expensive license goes as a base license. The green, I mean, not this one. It's project or human resource. If it's supply chain and project, supply chain is the base license. Project is an attached license. If it's a finance and project, same. It goes same way. If it's supply chain, finance, and project cannot be the base license. One of these two should be the base license. And yes, if the user requires three licenses, one is the base license and the other two are attached licenses. What if the user requires, what if the roles assigned to the user require supply chain and activity? In this case, we purchase supply chain, we do not purchase the blue ones. We do not, right? So these basic rules, it seems that it's obvious, but it turned out to be not as obvious as it seemed to be. So the red licenses, they cover the blue licenses. The green licenses, they cover the blue licenses. If you purchase one of the red or the green, you don't purchase the blue licenses. It's a hierarchy. This is the first point. looking at these numbers, how can I know the total number of base licenses, attached licenses I need to buy? You cannot. You cannot. You need to count the licenses per user, because here you just see the number, which can be base attached, and you don't know what combination of base and attached you need to buy. You assess the users, and by the user, you see based or attached. Now let's move to, I will show the other slides later. Let's move to our analysis. So let's make let's tell them apart. So there is an assessment, analysis, and there is an optimization. Microsoft provides tools to assess and analyze license requirements. Microsoft also put a teaser in their presentations that they made in December and January. This teaser is talking about new reports that are coming. They have a huge roadmap, so they promise us that we will have lots of tools back, or maybe renewed tools or new tools. So it's all coming in 2026. But right now we are going to talk about what we have today. So first of all, we were looking forward to have a tool that would allow us to easily manage the licenses when we create new roles. Here we are. It's 10.46 version of Finance and Operations, and there is a new tool that you are probably going to like when you want to cut certain licenses of an existing role. You can take the role, you can duplicate it, and you can adjust this role to a certain license. Let's say you have a role that requires supply chain and finance, both licenses, right? And you want to clean the role and keep only finance. Like budget manager is a finance. What if I updated what we never do? To be honest, right? We don't touch Microsoft roles, but what if we updated this out-of-box role and we added some duties that brought supply chain requirement up? Then we can duplicate this role, and we can say, so the dupe of this role should be a finance license. In this case, this new function will duplicate the role, and it will remove all duties and privileges that are related to the license that is not needed. So it will keep only duties and privileges that require only that require finance license. It's new, and it's a very nice tool. So this way you can clean the roles. Now let's talk about how we do the analysis, right? So Microsoft is pointing a lot. They when they're talking about license analysis, they pay a lot of attention to the fact that we also highlight all the time. Lots of the licenses are consumed unnecessarily. For example, we have inactive users that consume the licenses. We have users that have redundant roles. We have certain situations when we can track user consumption. And in these cases, we can use out-of-box reports. We can use other tools. Let's walk through all of them. So the first, the very first report that we need to use and we need to pay attention, like we need to consider as the main tool, is the license usage summary report. I'm not going to talk about security governance section. This is all available since 10.42. Microsoft keeps adding functionality to this, to all of this. Right now, I'm talking about the main report that Microsoft built, and they mentioned in the December news that they released on December 1st. They released a new version of this report that is the cleanest and the best version of the report, and they fixed all the bugs, everything what was reported before. So let's talk about this report, the user license report. We, as you see, we have users, we have roles, and we have required licenses. And required or not required is determined by the license quantity, right? So if the license is required, you see it's 1. If the license is not required, it's 0. They used to have a different report here, like one more here. It was a user license report. You see it's gone right now. So they show you information that is relevant. So in my case, CRM test user requires 2 licenses, finance and human resource. And this user, as you see, this user has quite a lot of other roles that seem not requiring licenses. It's not true. The accounts payable manager role also requires finance license, but the finance license is counted once, and it's counted against the first role, not the second role. The other roles, they show 0 just because they are covered, even the project operations. It is covered by the other licenses. That's the first and the main license usage summary report. And when we are talking about this report, we can find for certain for certain roles, we can find like here, right? What entry points, what menu items are responsible for this license requirement. So it shows us what menu items are entitled for the commerce license. It's very straightforward. However, when we are talking about the role, let's look at the role requirement. When we're talking about the role, it's not that obvious, as you see. And it's not that easy to find what role or what license is required for each role. Like, for example, sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's straightforward. For example, let's take both entitled and not entitled, like this one, for example. Cost account clerk. As you see, it has entitled menu items and not entitled menu items. Is it a commerce role? No, it's not a commerce role. We know that this is a finance role. This is why we have not entitled menu items. It means that it would qualify for the commerce. So this role would qualify for the commerce license if it didn't have 48 not entitled menu items. If I filter by not entitled, I will see all 48 menu items that do not qualify for the commerce license. And I am looking for the SKU that has 0 in not entitled. If I filter by cost account clerk, again, I'm walking through the things that I was asked by my friend how to read this report. Look, I pulled this role. I see lots of the SKUs. I see lots of non-entitlements, and I can find it. Sorry, it's not a finance, it's supply chain. I see that 2 roles have 0 in not entitled. It means that these 2 roles fully cover, these 2 licenses fully cover the cost accountant clerk role. This is a full coverage. And in this case, we have fully we have the license ID, the license queue that fully covers the role. If you assign this role to a user and nothing else is assigned except the system user, the user will require the supply chain license. However, the world is not that simple. We rarely deal with the Microsoft roles. The Microsoft roles, they are, let's say, it's the configuration that we're trying to follow, because the Microsoft roles are built in such ways that each role requires one license. And after I don't know how many dozens of security analysis we've done, I can say I'm very confident when I'm saying that it's our target to build the roles that require one license. Each role, one role should require one license. Why? Because when we analyze users, when we analyze their consumption, we quite often see that an additional license, like redundant license, almost redundant license, is required when we assign a role that requires multiple licenses to a user. And it turns out that the user actually uses just one part of the service, just one part of the role, one service. So a user, let's say, requires supply chain, finance, and project operations through one role. One role requires all three licenses. And when we analyze the consumption, the actual consumption, we all of a sudden see that the user does not require finance and project operations. The user leans to the pure supply chain functional, like service, and rarely uses finance and project operations. How do we do this, right? How do we analyze consumption? So looking at finance and operations here, like being inside, you don't see how the users consume their licenses. You don't see what's actually used, what's not used. And Microsoft has this little configuration. It's really tiny. It's a 5 minutes configuration that you can use. Let's find it. It's called Telemetry. Again, yeah, I know that we're talking about all the time. We're talking about this all the time, but in the meantime, it's probably the most useful thing so far in our license optimization analysis. Like, what if we want to optimize licenses? What if we want to optimize security? What if we want to go with the least required security? Then Telemetry helps us a lot. You configure Telemetry. If you are confused with the configuration of Telemetry, just let us know. We will help you. Really, it's configured here in the Telemetry configuration in finance and operations, and also it's configured. Like the other part is configured in the portal Azure portal through the application insights. The application insights is a resource that once it's configured properly and connected to my finance and operations, it can track your user activity, user movements through the menu items, user movements through reports, through action menu items, through the display menu items. So it tracks 3 types of menu items: action menu items, display menu items, and report menu items. And then it's like quite straightforward. You can pull these stats in the monitoring log. You can run a very simple query in QKL mode. You can run a very simple query that will return the utilization, like real utilization. real consumption, right? And here in this report, you will see the timestamp, the menu item that this user accessed, and how long this user spent on this menu item. How to use this, right? When you know the role that is assigned to the user. So the role is assigned to the user. And when you know that the role has certain duties, privileges with the menu items. I'm going right now to the security analysis report. That's the report that Microsoft built, and also in the last of the previous, I don't remember which of the updates, they announced that this somehow, I'm not saying this report will have the license assigned to the menu item or privilege or duty, but they announced that we will get the license back. We used to have licenses visible in the view permissions. The view permissions is actually a mirror of the security analysis report. But anyway, if we go back to telemetry, so we know the menu item that was used by the user, and we can find this menu item here. We can find this entry point here. We can find actually the role that has this entry point, and we can match user role assignment, role menu item assignment, and telemetry stats. We can match and we can say, okay, great, this user is using only 5 menu items out of hundreds that are available in his role. And maybe it's just, like once in a blue moon. Some of the menu items are so rarely used that we probably can discuss and revoke them, or we can provide a view access. So this combination of the telemetry, security analysis report, and user to role assignment gives us like endless ability to analyze roles and optimize them. We can remove privileges, duties, and menu items, obviously, that require a lot of like high-level licenses, and we can optimize the roles and licenses so that the consumption is going to be the lowest consumption. How it looks, right? So I will show you just a few examples. Just our latest analysis reports. This is one of our clients that requested this analysis, and that's how much they pay right now, $43,000 a month. And we go with very general pricing. So it's not necessarily 43,000, but let's say there can be a weight, right? There can be a discount. Just assume that the client pays the full price for each license, and right now they pay 43,000. According to Microsoft, according to their license consumption, they have to pay 94,000 a month. When we analyze, we apply telemetry to their configuration, we find their optimal configuration. We provide this optimal configuration. It's provided in, so it looks like when we provide this configuration, we provide lots of information. But anyway, the configuration looks like this. So we say, you know what, you don't need that many duties and privileges in each single role like you have right now. You can reduce your configuration to this minimum, the least required access, and you can reduce the assignment as well. So these users need just these roles, nothing else. The roles are created here. We provide this information, and if you go with these numbers, if you go with this assignment, then you can save. So yes, we don't meet your current monthly payment. We're just a little bit above, but this is actually your configuration, and this is actually your consumption. Your users showed that they need only this rows and this assignment, nothing else. That's one of the examples. The second example, again, it's another user, another client of us, and right now the client is paying $51,000, and the requirement from Microsoft, like today's requirement, is $75,000. We found that according to their telemetry, it can be 56,000 only, and so on. Another one. This one is very interesting. I will show you why. So looking at the numbers, you can say, oh, where's the same? Where is the saving point, right? They save only $300. Not really. If you look at their current consumption, they have 18 device licenses, and they assumed that 49 people will require an activity license. However, if you look at their requirement, like actual requirement, it's 56 supply chain licenses required. And how to go from here to here if the user showed 55, like this is an actual telemetry, right? If the user showed 55 supply chain required licenses. So in this case, it's a conversation. It's an open conversation. We show, okay, great, look, only one menu item requires supply chain. And let's say we can go down to 49 if we provide a view access to this menu items that requires a full license right now. But the view access is a team member. If we provide the view access to this particular menu item, we will go down to 49 and we will go down to 18, the number that you need. And it's actually the point of our discussion. We always show what exactly causes this license consumption. We show what exactly happened in their configurations, what bumped it up from 49 to 56. Right, 49 activity to 56 supply chain. Obviously, there is something happened in their configuration. Obviously, they assigned the full access to one or two menu items that actually can be reduced. Why telemetry doesn't catch it? Because telemetry shows you only that the menu item was accessed. It doesn't show you what kind of access was it. Write, read, like write, update, create, delete, or write, which is update, create, delete, or it's a read access. It's not there. You cannot see it by telemetry, but you can force this assignment and reduce the number of licenses. Yes. I can keep talking about licenses and security configuration endlessly, but actually, you know, everything what and the very last point. What if the client is very happy with this optimal, like let's say this optimal license configuration? What's the next step? We can configure. Actually, we can. It's probably a different topic, but we create an XML that can bring the whole configuration as one import, one XML, one import, and you can test it. If you're happy with this, you can go with this. So yeah, there is a story, like there is the second step always.
And that allows you to test in a much safer way if you wanted to, for example.
Yeah, it's easy. The configuration doesn't fall on your shoulders, like all of this configuration, like, oh my God, you know, like people look at this, go, oh my God, I'm gonna spend days and hours and weeks and months. No, we provide, we can do it too. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
And thank you for that wonderful overview. I think people are feeling a whole lot better, especially knowing they might not have to do all of that themselves, potentially.
And one thing, January 15 is around the corner. We are monitoring the situation, what's happening. If there's anything new is drastically changing, we are definitely going to send out some information on LinkedIn, on emails and so on, to keep everybody informed. Right now, there's no new Microsoft to partner meeting schedule, so we are a little bit in the dark, but we expect something is coming here in January and February, where we get some more information if anything has changed, if there are new rules applied or new tools. So stay tuned. Yeah, and send us an email or leave your email here in the chat, or just say please contact me, and we will do that and take a look at your specific situation.
Mm-hmm.
But thank
We're
you for
always
joining,
happy.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, always happy to help you stay ahead of any strange new things you see or any
Yep.
issues that come down the line. And as Morten said, we will be watching the updates like a hawk. Hopefully things don't change too crazy, but
Thank you,
we'll be
everybody. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Have a
Tatjana.
good one.
Thank you, Sebastian.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.